There's a moment in the movie Midnight in Paris where the character Gil goes back in time, and when he starts talking to this girl in the 30s, he actually realizes that in her head, the seemingly perfect 30s, which for him were perfect, but in her head, they're really mundane. She believes that the perfect golden age were the 1890s. It's that immense trip of nostalgia in that movie that actually keeps coming back to me every time I think of why I do what I do. My name is Raj. I'm a photographer. And I also write. I write on the Medium. I like to write on the City, on Bombay. And for me, words and photographs are largely linked to memory. Now, this may, of course, sound like a very romanticized philosophical trip from somebody who might be defined as a professional photographer, because, well, that is what I do for a living as well. But the reason why I keep stressing on this, and the reason why I keep thinking of this every time I try to rationalize what I've been doing for almost the past decade, I barely used a camera. And yet it was one particular set of 3 months, one semester in my college in KCBMM, where this photographer called David D'Souza, who would teach us at that point of time, that I think as a collective, our class of students really started opening our eyes and started seeing the world in a very different way. And as it always happens when you sprinkle inspiration, there are some that choose to take it, and it was David's classes that made me realize that, hey, this is what I might want to do. I want to make pictures. As a child, I always at one level wanted to be a writer, because I've always enjoyed words. I believe I'm not too bad with the language, and it's always fascinating how one can take the simplest of thoughts and put so much poetry within them. At the same time, take the most complex and poetic of thoughts and actually express it in the simplest of ways. And like a lot of people probably do, I took up engineering, not because of any parental pressures or anything. I mean, my story is not that filmy, or I wasn't really the victim in that sense. But it just happened. It just happened because at a certain age you just didn't know what you want to do, and you go like, okay, maybe this is what you should do. And I'm glad I did that, because I realized that maybe this is what I should do. No, it was surely what I shouldn't ever have done. I also believe in, while I'm shooting, that it is eventually about, do you feel very strongly about something. It's not so much about is it the correct thing to do, is it the predictable thing to do, is it the smart thing to do. No, I mean, if it's a smart thing to do, then it's probably not the right thing to do. At least that's the way I've wanted to take my so-called decisions whenever I've needed to. And well, even when I've not taken those decisions have taken themselves. And in that sense, it's interesting. So that happened basically a year of engineering, and I dropped out. And like every self-respecting dropout does, I decided to join BMM. I say that obviously with a bit of humor, because I realized I was not the only one. I was a failure at one particular thing because you could put it behind you, and you may go through that again, you may go through that all over again, but it is never about the destination, it's about the journey. And again, I keep coming back to my photography because I like to connect things. I think for me, the whole idea of it has always been that it needs to go beyond the money making aspect of it, because we all do jobs, we all do terrible jobs. I'm lucky enough to be in a lovely job with a terrible pay. I hope you guys while shooting this video put it up online and ensure that all my bosses at Mukesh Ambani owned Network 18 realize that we are terribly underpaid, and there's no real point of being in that job if you want the salary, because there's barely any few peanuts that you get at the end of the month. But why do we do it? Why does one actually go through? Why does one, in most forms of the media, which are terribly paying in the beginning, especially, why does one do it only if one really wants to do it? I don't get this whole, what kind of a photographer are you? I don't get that question at all. I don't understand it. What kind of pictures do you make? I like to answer that I usually make good pictures. I don't know what kind of pictures you make. So 3 or 4 things that inspire me continue to seep into each of these projects. One of the most important things to me is the city of Bombay. I hopelessly am in love with this city. However terrible it is, and I am about to take a flight in an hour from now. I hope I catch it. Okay, so I'm probably not missing my flight. I'm at the airport. But try and ensure that I do miss my flight. 3 people who are making this character documentary. But however terrible it is, every time I go away from it, I'm happy. I'm happy because yay, I do not have to sit in that traffic jam. But a few days and it's a little stupid, and a lot of people who believe that photographers are always traveling will just balk at this. But the fact is that after every trip, wherever I go, however incredible it is, and I'm about to head to Ladakh in a few days from now, I know that when I come back from Ladakh, however incredible that trip would be, when I enter Bombay airport, is that weird sort of equation where I really can't seem to spend time away from all this chaos and madness. And whatever work I do, Bombay keeps coming up in what I shoot. The night keeps coming up in what I shoot. For me, photography is that nostalgia shop. It is that bit that allows me to try and reach out to my memories, and thank God I'm not able to catch them because I can continue to try.